the presentation that you have on Christianity, we've got to have the Black Christ Conference. Not only to talk about it, but to give visual documentation, as our Tajedi Asa Hilliard told us, that it's the Grand Masters, like Dr. Yosef Inyakinen that I heard at Long Beach State in the early 70s. Like you, I was also in the audience. I did not know a lot about African history. Of course, we were all going through the psychological gas chamber in the Eurocentric classroom. And Dr. Ben said a lot of powerful things that day, and I came up to him, I said, you said a lot of powerful things. I said, can you prove that? He said, I can take you back and I can show you. He said, but what we need are young soldiers like you to go back and do field research. At that time that I would travel back to Africa, 14 years non-stop with that great Grand Master Tajedi, Dr. Yosef Inyakinen. Now going on 22 years of my life, studying the reliefs, being able to see where these people literally copied, plagiarized directly from African people to make up this European version of Christianity. Yes, I'm saying a European version of Christianity because African people were Christians before white folks were Christian. In fact, we were persecuted for being Christians in Africa, in North Africa, long before the Romans were even Christians. We're going to deal with that. But also we need to start to develop libraries in our home. We need to stop looking at the television, telling us nothing but lies. And in some cases, brothers and sisters, the TV's getting bigger than this screen here. And a 12 by 12 living room. You don't need to see white folks that well. You don't need to see white folks that well. But after all, images shape our reality. So because we come from a visual literate documentation, I equally have to come with that. And we are on different levels, so I try to bring this information on different levels, brothers and sisters, especially dealing with religion. I mean, dealing with religion, you can really start a whole lot of fights with religion. But what we want to do is clean house. And we want to go down deep in our spiritual subconscious, because in our spiritual subconscious, white folks have created something called spiritual enslavement. What is spiritual enslavement? Spiritual enslavement is when the enemy became the deity in the spiritual subconscious of our mind. That means white folks made himself God down into the psychic of black people. So we could not see that Murray, that love for each other, because we could not see that divine creator that our ancestors knew by many names emanating from each and every one of us as black people, because the enemy became the deity in the spiritual subconscious of our mind. So, of course, I got to come with a visual documentation to show you how this took place. Now, some people ask, Brother Kwesi, are you going right into the Kemetic science? No, I can't go directly into the Kemetic science. We're going to deal with the Kemetic science. But what we want to do is to deal chronologically so we can see what has taken place and deal with it step by step. What was the effect when they came into Africa? Christianity that existed in the Nile Valley. Also, what happened when Europeans got a hold of Christianity? And after all, what kind of Christians did they make us when they brought us over on the good ship Jesus, the Grace of God, and the Holy Mary, the name of their slave ships? Made us a totally different Christians. We want to deal with that. We want to deal with the images behind closed doors in the cellar where the Pope secretly worships the Black Madonna. I have the visual documentation. We're going to see it. And then we want to go deep into Kemet to show, brothers and sisters, that this spiritual concept existed for thousands of years. The Christ had nothing to do with a man. It had to do with the spirit that our ancestors called it in ancient times the Ka. And then when the Gnostics got it, it was called the Charis. And during the Greco-Roman period, they turned it into the Christ. We're going to deal with what our ancestors left us. We're going to do a comparative analytical analysis because we want you to put this in your own mental court of law. We've heard white folks out of the story, is that right? What we want to do in this particular presentation on the Black Christ Conference is to see our African ancestors' side of the story. And then you put it in your own Ma'atian court of law. And then you judge it for yourself. I'm not here for you to believe what I say. I did not come for that. We'll keep that up to the Negro preacher, not the liberating preacher, fleecing you for all your money in the name of God. What we want you to do is to think. Because once you start thinking, about what has happened, what has taken place, then you will be able to see that spiritual light through the needle's eye that will come to you in a rays of light. That's what we want to do, brothers and sisters. Give me a little minute to power up the presentation.